Welcome to episode 30 of Inclusion with Mansi. I'm your host, Mansi Chandorkar. Each week, we're going to discuss various areas of inclusion and how you can be an inclusion champion. We aim to move beyond just awareness into acceptance and embracing differences. Since October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, we'll have a special month to listen to individuals with dyslexia and other specific learning disabilities share their journey with us. Today, we're going to be in conversation with Amod Kale. Hi Amod, welcome to Inclusion with Mansi. I'm so happy to have you here on my podcast. Can you please introduce yourself to the listeners?
My name is Amod. I'm 18 years old. Now I've completed my 12th standard and I'm pursuing the medical field.
So, Amod, can you tell me what are some hobbies, what are some things that you like to do?
So my hobbies are playing sports. I like football. I've been playing football since second standard. Uh, and that's all. I like listening to music, particularly electronic dance music, EDM.
So, I've met you since I think you were in class 3 or 4. That's been a long time, right? So, can you tell the listeners that what are your diagnoses and what do they mean to you?
So I have been diagnosed with dyslexia and dysgraphia in Sassoon Hospital. So dyslexia is essentially means that I have difficulties in reading and decoding words and sentences, and dysgraphia means I have difficulty in writing those words down in this particular order. That's it.
Yeah, and you've been struggling with reading and spelling since even before we met, right? Like around second standard was when initially your parents realized that you were having difficulties with this. You have been for remediation and you've been getting consistent support. Can you explain to the listeners what is remediation and how has it helped you?
So remediation is a way that it helps us to know get help on our problems, especially problems in reading and writing. It's target oriented to people with learning disabilities. It's more specific. It helps extremely in the parts we are facing difficulties in. Uh, I have been in remediation for 8 years, from second standard to 10th standard. It has helped me in reading, writing, and also learned a lot of study skills there. Reena Ji was the teacher that helped me in remediation.
Yeah, so in the beginning, when you went, you learned a lot of phonetics. You learned the different sounds and you learned different how to do syllabification and how to join them and how to read and how to spell better. And then you moved on to study skills. Can you tell us a little more about what all is covered in study skills? What is that?
So in study skills, you learn different ways to cope. So in study skills, we essentially learn that different people learn differently and different people need different ways for learning. So we have learned through uh, just making notes and writing notes and how to read stuff and then how to go again with practicing and redoing stuff.
Yes, you've learned different strategies on how to study, how to make the notes. You would have done a lot of different graphic organizers, which would have helped you write your notes in a specific manner, which would help you to recall them better when you are giving your exams, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, along with all this, you also had some examination concessions in school. Can you tell us what they were?
So I had 1 hour extra time, a writer and a reader, which helped me in getting my exams finished faster. People who didn't have a writer and reader were extremely jealous that I had one, so which was
Yeah.
great.
But do you think having a reader writer extra time is like an advantage to you? Or is it leveling the field for you with your other neurotypical peers?
I think it's leveling the field for me. It's just compensating for the difficulties I have and making a level field for everyone. It's just like wearing glasses, the example you
Yeah.
told.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to tell the listeners what that example is?
So you said that wearing specs for someone who has difficulty in seeing is not an advantage, it's just leveling the playing field for them.
Correct. So receiving a scribe or a reader is exactly like that. It is something that you need. It is not giving you any undue advantage. Like asking a person who has glasses to read without them is not fair, right? Because then you're not actually checking if they can read or not. You're checking if they can see or not. So, in the same way, here you're checking if you can write or not the knowledge that you know. So, with a scribe, you're getting to know the knowledge that you actually have and you know, which is then leveling the field with the neurotypical kids. So, it's not an advantage that you get. And these are things that CBSE is providing. So, it is what the board is providing. And all the boards provide similar concessions for the kids through school and college, right?
Yes,
So, can you tell me that you said that in school you struggled with reading and writing? Now that you've gone to college, are these still struggles for you, or are there different types of struggles, or now you feel that there is no difficulty at all?
so the struggles with reading and writing are not as prominent as they were before. There are some struggles, but not so prominent. The difficulties now I'm facing are different. I have difficulties in maintaining focus and completing tasks.
Yeah, so they do change and evolve as you grow. They don't suddenly vanish for sure. You have learned a lot of coping skills that have helped you so far, and I think you are now independent enough to try and navigate and figure out these new challenges that you face, right?
Yes, Ji.
Do you feel
So
that children with special needs are the only ones that face these kind of challenges?
no, I think these difficulties are faced around the spectrum with every children. Also, my peers face difficulties in reading, and some of them face difficulties in focusing and maintaining focus in classes. So I think it's normal for everyone to face difficulties to some
Correct.
extent.
Absolutely. So each one has different areas in which they struggle and different areas in which they really excel at.
Yeah.
Um, what is some advice that you would like to give teachers that if you have students with learning disability in your classroom, what are some things that they can keep in mind to ensure that the child is included and feels like a part of the class?
So, giving more time to children with learning disabilities would be extremely helpful because it does take time for us to read and comprehend as compared to a neurotypical student. So, that's something that would be extremely helpful for us. We would get there, but after it would take a certain time. That's all.
Yeah, give a little more processing time so that you have enough time to process the information and then get back to you. Because it's not that you can't do it or you're not capable of, you just need a little extra time to process that information and then you'll be able to answer those questions, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What is something that you would like to tell parents when they've just realized that their child has a diagnosis?
So, for parents, to be honest, it is difficult for them to comprehend initially what a learning disability is, and that is not as much as a disability as it is a gift because us children with learning disabilities do have a higher intelligent quotient than the average student, and we have different strengths and weaknesses as every student have, but our weaknesses are more targeted towards academics, but we would focus on our weaknesses and get stronger eventually. So we are capable of it. We are capable of bringing change.
Absolutely. Yeah, so focus on the strengths, use the strengths to then work on the weaknesses, right? And then they are capable of doing anything and everything that they would put their mind to doing. Obviously, hard work is required in whatever they do. It's not going to magically fall in their lap. But yeah, put in the effort and you can do whatever you want to do. Like you're working towards your medical entrance and getting into college right now. So, do you want to share some story or some experience with the listeners where things that your peers may have done or anything that would have happened to you that made you feel as a part of a group, belonging, and like included?
So my friends were extremely helpful. They always kept notes aside for me, gave them to me for copying. They helped me go up to date with projects and all the tasks needed to be done in class. And also, I had two friends facing similar difficulties, and being with them, it was easy to relate these difficulties with people around me. And and all of us were extremely social people, so we didn't face difficulties in making friends as much. And that's all. People never bullied or teased me about the problems or difficulties I faced. They were extremely
Yeah.
helpful, or they didn't know what I was facing. Either one.
Yeah. So, like you said, it is a little tougher for you to explain to others what you're going through. But having two other friends who are having similar difficulties helped you bond with them better. And also, you feel it was an advantage to have friends who realize that yes, you are struggling with writing. So, to keep their notes aside so that you can copy them, or to remind you, oh, listen, Amod, we have this project to complete, and have you completed this? And to give you those reminders and make sure you're up to date. That is something that really helped you,
Yes.
right? And these are small, simple things which are very doable, but we sometimes take for granted and feel like, usme kya hai? But just these small gestures make a big difference, right?
Yes, they.
Is there something that you completely disliked that happened to you in class, which you would say, please avoid?
So I hated standing up in class and doing reading, especially in Hindi Marathi, because amount of difficulty I faced was comparatively higher than the other children. I stuttered a lot during the reading. It was hard to go through, but I it did help somehow to know that people still supported me. So I had a friend who would read out aloud sitting beside me, and I'll just copy whatever he said.
Oh, that is nice. Just repeat what he's saying. But
Yeah.
yeah, languages are a challenge, and learning multiple languages is something that gets difficult for you, right?
Yes, the multiple languages are extremely difficult. So learning English was comparatively easy because it was a subject I had to use in every other subjects, for example, in math, science. But Hindi, Marathi, and then I had tried to learn German, but I had to drop it because it was too difficult for me. So languages were a problem.
Languages is tough. But yeah, but I'm so happy to hear that you've had such amazing supportive friends to help you with the reading aspect of it and the writing aspect of it and project part of it, and have are around you all the time to make sure that you're doing okay. So I also hope you have these amazing friends when you're off to college and doing medicine as well. So, before we end today's episode, do you have any message for the listeners?
Yes, so us children with learning disabilities have our strengths and our weaknesses. So my strengths were playing sports. So making friends in an environment where it's easier for us. For me, it was the ground because it was I was good at playing sports. So make friends where it's more comfortable, more accepting, which would be helpful for them.
Okay, that's a great message you've given, Amod. Thank you so much for coming on to Inclusion with Mansi. And I hope to hear from you soon, and I hope you stay in touch. Thank you for tuning in to Inclusion with Mansi. If you have enjoyed today's episode, do share the podcast with your family and friends. I would love to hear your feedback. You can connect with me on my Facebook page or Instagram at Inclusion with Mansi.
You may also email me at inclusionwithmansi@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember to share our similarities and celebrate our differences.